SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
No one should have to decide if they can afford life-saving care. Expanding Medicaid would bring billions in federal funding back to our state. It helps stabilize rural hospitals providing critical care. Text BETTER to 46839.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar.
It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right.
Hey folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. I'm Steve Azar reminding you that my pals over there in Macon, Mississippi, they know how to make catfish the right way. I'm talking about from raising it to sending it all the way to your kitchen table. Check out superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Celebrates come on, we're the birthplace of America's music, and when the world comes to visit, they never want to leave, so check it out. Plan a road trip. If you're from Mississippi, if you're not, come on, visit us. All right, my guest today is a very talented, very prolific. She's jack of a lot of trades, actually, and I can say that. An author, TV host, radio host, and very, very inspiring speaker. She started her career as a registered dietitian over 16 years ago and eventually created her wonderful show on SuperTalk back in 2013 with a focus on nutrition. Her two books that she's authored thus far, Mind Over Fork, I love that, and Enjoy Good Health. She's also Mississippi's only registered dietitian boarded in lifestyle medicine with the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Isn't that cool? Her overall mission with health is to lean on our culture's view of health and rewrite the rules where women can take up space and realize health is more than just a number. Please welcome in the star of her own show, Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Rebecca Turner. Hey.
It's good to be here, Steve.
Well, are you just finishing up a recording of one of your shows, and I've got you switched around here?
Yes, we just finished up Good Things today. Lots of good stuff going on in our state, as you know, and always excited to bring that, but also happy to be here with you. You come on before me on Thursdays and Fridays, so it'll be, it's a lot of fun.
They won't let me do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with you. I think the fact that I wrote I don't have to be me till Monday, it sort of is my mantra for anything that goes on. So as the weekend comes, so does Steve, you know? Part of
I like it. Yeah.
I know. Well,
yeah.
First of all, I want to dig back a little bit, and I also want to talk to you about this doctor friend of mine I've had on that you got to have on. Obviously, with RFK, I actually know RFK. I gotten to know him at the American Ski Classic back in the day. His kids were a little bitty like mine. They were playing together, and that's how we met. And now that, you know, he's been very vocal about what's in our foods and what's going on. So your take as far as the possibilities of what he could offer to us, as far as I'm concerned, that's been long overdue.
Well, anytime that Americans start getting interested in what's in their foods or about their foods, I get excited, right? I've been screaming this for the last, decade and a half about people wanting people to value or care about the things that they put in their body. I got into the field of dietetics, almost 20 years ago as a student at Southern Miss because I took the course that you had to take, Introduction to Nutrition, and I was fascinated with this idea that to some extent we can control our health simply by the things we choose to put on our plate or put in our glass. And I just never understood why more people didn't value that kind of power that they have and just their daily choices. And so I commend him and anybody who's trying to, make our food system more available in terms of health and nutritious foods, and then also rewriting some of those rules about what's allowed here and what's not. But what I see every day, though, is a little bit bigger than that, right? Like here in Mississippi, we have an access issue to food, where the average Mississippian lives 23 miles from a grocery store. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's no food dyes or not. If you can't get to the groceries or they're not available to you, then how are we going to, eat them? We have a low literacy when it comes to health, or health literacy here in our state, when we're talking about what's driving our health crisis. And so there has to be a value put on understanding what good quality nutrition, beverages, low and sweetened beverages can do for our overall health. That's all going to have to coincide with some of these big changes. The one recently that made the news was the fact of banning red dyes, or those phasing out over a couple of years, which I'm all for, and don't ever want anyone to take, my sort of viewpoint on it as anything less of being excited about those kinds of changes. But we could avoid those. We don't need legislation to avoid those, and that's not what's driving our health crisis, right?
Right.
The fact that removing red dye from our everyday intake could make that big of an impact means that Americans rely too heavily on ultra processed foods for the majority of their nutrition. Of the thousands of products that red food dye is found in, most of them are these ultra processed, low nutrient foods. If we could just spend the equal amount of energy on getting people to actually maybe invest in more whole food based eating, we would rewrite or course correct all of these things without having to need legislation for it. A healthier Pop-Tart's not the answer, is what I'm trying to say. And so sometimes we get real caught up in majoring in the minors when it comes to food and nutrition, and I'm all for that. Nobody would stand against seeing our food ingredients clean up, but we could do that easily just by increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables that most Americans eat. The average American, 9 out of 10, don't even get 2 fruits or vegetables a day. And so if we just upped that a little bit and reduce the others, then we wouldn't need the need for such specific legislation. Taking the food dyes out of our food system is not going to fix our health crisis. You're still going to have added sugars, added salts, all these other things. And while it's a good thing, I'm not mad at it. I just think I don't want us to miss the forest for the trees when it comes to the health crisis we have, particularly here in our state, which is obviously, we're known, unfortunately, as a very obese state, right? Diabetic, heavy. Which one has to do with the other in a lot of cases. You said Pop-Tarts. So to tell you how bad I ate growing up, but my metabolism is what it is, right? So my older brother is just bigger than me, right? So he could never do this. It would show on him. And with me, it just didn't show until eventually it caught up. I would get a Pop-Tart and I'd get plain ones, right? The no sugar on top, no frosting. But I would get butter and I'd add real sugar, and I'd make my own frosting, right? And so it was crazy. And then I would eat 13-layer peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at a time. I had my crazy sandwich I made. I'd eat a whole Pet Ritz apple pie. Well, I'd put it in the microwave. I wouldn't eat one turkey Swanson TV dinner. I would eat 2 Hungry Man or 2 chicken. That was my diet, because my mom and dad were working, and that's what was in the freezer, right? And so but now obviously when I got to Nashville, we always loved to cook. But so half of it was bad, right? Just putting stuff in the microwave or in the oven. But I did learn, being in Nashville, a lot of health conscious stuff. But it was when I lost. So I had gotten to Delta State and I was smaller, and then from working out, I'd gotten to about 190 pounds. Got to the point where on occasions I could bench 300 pounds. I was really in great shape. And then I got married, and obviously you're not spending 2 hours in the gym. You don't have time. You have to work. And then it started to shift. And then it started to be in my face and in my gut and everything. When I got to Nashville, I remember one of my managers going, "Hey, you're looking a little overweight." And he goes, that's all I needed to hear. So I went on this crazy diet. I lost 30 pounds. I started rebuilding my muscle back from there. And I learned a lot about eating healthy. But when I came back home, the one thing that we do, we eat a lot of fried stuff here. And I was back in the saddle again because I love it. I mean, it's memory of growing up, but I've really, 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 really had to be, I've had to be aware
of what I'm doing, when I can do it. It's like if I go to Popeyes or church, it's once every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it every day like I want to, but a lot of people are doing that, and obviously can't. But I can't believe that this is how your show was created. Well, let's take a quick break. I want to talk about the epiphany of Good Things with Rebecca Turner, where it came from, because you and I probably started, I think I started a little after you, and you and I both probably weren't destined in our minds to be on radio. And so let's dig into that in a little bit. We're with Rebecca Turner. No. You got to check her out on Good Things every day. She's allowed to be on the radio every day, and I'm not. And that's just the way it is. That's good for everybody. Superior Catfish, that needs to be on your plate every night. You can go to store.superiorcatfish.com, and it'll come to your house. Visit Mississippi.org. It's been with me since the start. Man, I have just had the best time with those folks over there, from Craig Ray now to Rochelle. She has rocked it, and just grateful to be a part of folks that care so much about people coming to visit. And that's what it's all about. I'm Steve Azar. We'll be right back with Rebecca Turner.
Say we're in cold water, but I do believe we're in cold water, and I shall believe.
You can now watch SuperTalk Mississippi on your YouTube, Roku, and on Amazon Fire devices. Plus, you can now watch SuperTalk TV live on C Spire TV Channel 70. Just go to supertalk.fm/connect to find out more.
The best.
When I was 16, I knew everything.
Roll into a Mississippi Minute with the fabulous Rebecca Turner. Good Things with Rebecca Turner every day on SuperTalk Mississippi. An incredible dietitian and author. Mind Over Fork, Enjoy Good Health, 2 of her books. And how she stumbled in to SuperTalk like I did. I would like to know the story, how the show was created.
So I started with SuperTalk probably back in 2013, 2014, just on their local station that is right here in the central Mississippi area on 97.3. And it was called Mission Nutrition. A guy who worked here, Brent Lape at the time, I went to high school with him. The team, Will, and them were looking for someone to do maybe a health sort of show. And he, threw my name in the hat. And so after a couple years of doing that and some other personal shifts with the job that I was doing at the time, I stepped out full time on my own. And then the opportunity for a weekday show, but statewide show came available, but it wasn't going to be health focused. It was just going to be more like lifestyle focused. And so the planets aligned and the opportunities came, at the right time. And they were gracious enough to give me the opportunity. And I guess June 1st for me and Rhino will be 8 years with Good Things every day from 2 to 3. Yeah. Well, you're not far behind with the Mississippi Minute.
I'm 8 years. I'm into my 8th year now, as of January.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm at the beginning of that. So yeah. So I came right on your heels. It's been really good. So for me, Rebecca, the art of listening has become something that I talk about this on my show. I have a lot of regret. Even when I had my dad on my show or my father-in-law, people that I've known my whole life, that I didn't know things that I should have taken the time to ask. So being on that side, you've always been a listener. Probably in your job description, you're listening to people's what they're going through. But for me, I've been interviewed a lot, so flipping the script for me it's just been a godsend. I've really appreciated it, and so for you, like, what's the beautiful parts of your show that you feel like maybe you didn't expect to get out of that maybe has come to fruition?
Well, I'll be honest. So when I left Mission Nutrition, which is my expertise, I am super confident. I know my education well. I know that space well. And shifting over to Good Things was the hardest career thing I've ever had to do, because you're taking a fish out of its water, right? Yeah, I mean, I could do a radio show, but now it was about asking people about other things or communicating other good topics. And so it was a really tough time for me to kind of or a scary time for me to sort of branch out that way. But what I love most about Good Things, Steve, is you don't do, your show's not necessarily live, but we've got the text line where people get to text in and talk every day. And, the shows that come on before me, Mornings with Richard Dow and Gerard with Middays, are very politically focused. And I can go through and look through the text line, and it's real divided. That's no news. That's no new news, no breaking news, right? We're pretty divided in our political thoughts here in Mississippi and beyond. But I come on, Rhino and I get to come on, and the topics that we talk about, we're a political free zone and usually a sports free zone in terms of stats and games and things like that. We'll have athletes and good stories and stuff like that on, but and I'll start talking, and these people will start texting in to Good Things. And it's the same people that have the same, love of barbecue, or, hey, go home team, go girl, like who may have won Miss Mississippi or whatever it may be. And then I can scroll up, and they were two totally different angry people about another topic, but we all have things that bring us together, right? And we all have common interests, and we all are rooting for Mississippi and Mississippians. And I wish that more people could see how they're more alike than they realize than ever before. And I think Good Things just really does that. It brings people together, whether they recognize it or not. It highlights all the good people, places, and things that we have here. So many of my topics are not seasoned guests who have had lots of times in either, a pulpit or legislative speech or, anything like that. They're your everyday people who are just grateful for the opportunity for their stories to be shared, or to feel like they're seen and heard and what they're doing matters. And it's those that drive, a couple hours to come into the studio for 20 minutes or more, and they leave like this was, an experience of a lifetime to be able to give them. Because you and I are on, or I'm on every day. We take for granted what that means to talk to the whole state. But a lot of my guests, that's a once, maybe in a lifetime, or, short opportunities like that. And so to me, that's what it's always felt like a mission field of some respect of bringing those stories to people. It feels more of like a calling to do it than work. I mean, it's work, but you got to prepare.
The funny thing is, once you can loosen them up, let them feel like they're not in front of anybody but you, which you have a great knack for, because I can tell you immediately have a great way of breaking the ice. Somehow, I don't know what you do, but you do. And so I think that it's great to hear people's stories and their missions and what they're passionate about, because a lot of people have similar passions, or if they don't, they can respect the fact of that passion. It also reminds them of their own passions and reminds them they're supposed to be chasing those. Even if you got a full-time something else, don't forget about the thing that you love and that's deep down in your heart and your soul. And I know a lot of times obligations get in the way and you're sort of stuck, but I sure hope people get a chance to relive some of those things that they're truly passionate about. And you do get to bring that up a lot.
Well, it's a breath of fresh air. I get at that all the time. Like Good Things is just that break in that day of that 24-hour negative news cycle. And even though the boys with sports talk, I mean, it's, it's not always negative, but sports can be very polarizing, right? People have very heavy opinions on if their team's doing good, bad, coaches, all the things. And so really it's just it's the break that a lot of people didn't know that they need during their day. And you shouldn't spend 12 hours a day of just polarizing conversation. And I would feel like in a Mississippi Minute, Steve, also on Thursdays and Fridays, they get a double dose of a break, a breath of fresh air.
Oh yeah, we're a break for sure.
Yeah, where you get the opportunity just to remember the humanity, right? That's found around every corner. And I think that's important right now more than ever.
For me, I took more than ever. For me, starting out with all celebrities and people that did things. Eventually, as I think it was interviewing my father-in-law and my dad, that I realized what they've accomplished in their lives and how humble they still are. And I think that it hit me that there's stories beyond celebrity and there's stories beyond that are so worth telling. And as I would talk to people, like in elevators, I mean, like crazy places in hotels, oh, I love your show and this and that, and I could just be sitting there talking to them for 2 minutes, and I'll go, you need to be on my show. That's how it started to evolve, because I was going like, what? Like, and so I've had a lot of aha moments where I've walked out of here and Gwen's going, Steve, I don't need to hear it. I go, you just won't believe it. You just won't believe how this happened from this and what it took. And there's just no way. And I'm going like, and she goes, okay, go ahead and tell me. And I don't think she's listening. But the bottom line is she knows that I'm walking out of there totally inspired. I mean, do you not walk out of your show a lot of times going like, now what the heck? How amazing was that?
I walk away most days thinking, gosh, Mississippi's the best place to live, right? We have the best people. We have people who are creative, people who are passionate, people who are driven, people who are empathetic, people who are just out there doing the dang thing day in and day out. And there's so many with boots on the ground that are just trying to make this state better. And they're not always, it's not just your elected officials. It's not just the people you see on, with the billboards or whatever. It's everyday people who get up in their own communities and put their, boots on and say, hey, let me invest back in my own sort of way. And sometimes that's just creative and creating new businesses that thrive that are right here in Mississippi, to authors or musicians, as you know. But then it's other people that just have human interest stories, and this just reminds you that, we're all neighbors, and, nobody's standing in line at the grocery store talking about who they voted for necessarily, right? Like if someone needed you just go help, or you just get, and so when we can take those walls down, man, Mississippians are just the coolest people. They're the friendliest people.
I totally agree. Good Things with Rebecca Turner every day on Super Talk. An amazing lady. Wonderful author. So check her books out. Mind Over Fork, Enjoy Good Health. Check out my friends over there that are making very healthy, very nutritious Superior Catfish. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Never take that for granted. Plan a road trip with your loved ones to different parts of Mississippi you hadn't been to in a while. You will be forever grateful. I'm Steve Azar.
No, I keep doing it right. I saw the light. Sun came up in the middle of the night. Been doing it wrong for so long. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like to be doing it right. I saw the light. Sun came up in the middle of the night. Been doing it wrong for so long. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like. I sure ought to know what it finally feels like to be doing it right. I'm still trying to find my way.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
We're all alone in the river and I don't know.
Steve Azar here, rocking into a Mississippi Minute. Superior Catfish is always rocking. It's ready to be on your table. Please check out superiorcatfish.com. There's catfish. There's superior catfish. And the math always adds up the same. And visit Mississippi.org. Just come on. Some of our museums in the state are at the Max in Meridian, the Grammy Museum, Mississippi, the B.B. King's Museum, Jim Henson Museum, the Civil Rights Museum. We can go on and on and on, scattered throughout Mississippi. Just really celebrates a lot of what we've been through as a state and how far we've come. And speaking of how far we've come, my guest today, Rebecca Turner, Good Things with Rebecca Turner, every day on Super Talk during the week, because she gets the weekend off, is my guest today. Rebecca, let's talk about the one thing that I believe in most. Growing up as an athlete and trying to compete and using that in my everyday life and all the failures in the music business, all the the hard times, all the triumphs. But the bottom line is there's been a lot more failures than there's been triumphs. And I promise you that being an athlete on a team, being a doubles partner in tennis, being the catcher in baseball, whatever it was, it played such a vital role in me hanging in there. And I know you grew up a student athlete. Tell me about how that's, been a big part of your life and impacted you.
Gosh, sports has probably saved me in more ways than one. I started being a competitive swimmer at the age of 5 and did that through my high school years. In fact, I was approached by Alabama my 8th or 9th grade year in school and said if I kept swimming on that track that I would have a scholarship waiting for me. Sadly, I gave that up for cheerleading because I wanted to wear the uniform to school. I thought that was real cool. My mom cried when I gave that up. But like most, when I wasn't going to college necessarily for athletics, so that kind of got away with me once I got to Southern Miss, until a good friend kind of introduced me into this. It started picking up this idea of 5Ks and running those probably early 2000s, 2004, 2005. And so I just really found a love for endurance sports at that time. 5Ks turned into 10Ks, turned into half marathons, turned into marathons. Oh my
goodness, I'm getting tired.
And and so and it was the sense of accomplishment that you could you could run a mile longer than you did the time before. My apartment was right there by Pete Patrick, or the baseball field there at USM, and behind it was the trails. And I remember the first time I ran 4 miles without stopping, and it's just little things like that that gave you a sense of accomplishment. And so and two, running my first half marathon was something that really got me out of kind of some dark times. When you start to value, and I say that a lot, like you have to, you take care of the things that you value. And so I wish more people took care of themselves because they would need to value it to do it. But my Friday nights started looking a lot different because I valued getting in a 10, 15, 20 mile run the next morning with friends.
Not staying up all night and feeling bad, right? You couldn't do it, right?
You couldn't do that. My nutrition intake changed from always feeling like getting on the same route that so many young adults are here in our country, of wanting to be thinner, take up less space, always on a diet. I started to recognize that food played a big role in keeping me fueled and keeping me doing the things that I wanted to do, helping me run faster and further. And I really started to respect that. And so that really helped, with a lot of things. And so, and then, life takes its turns, and I found weight training after I had my first daughter and we moved. I got introduced to Olympic lifting when I couldn't run marathons anymore at the age of 33 or 34. And that's been a life changing. I'm almost 42 now. So for the last 7 years, I don't do as much running anymore, but I've really leaned into this whole world of strength training, not necessarily like bodybuilding or anything of that, but I've got great friends with success in there, but more of like your Olympic lifting into just strong lifting type stuff. And it's been the most empowering years of my life. I'm stronger and fitter now at almost 42 with 2 kids than I've ever been in my entire life, mentally, physically. And I owe a lot of that to having the courage to step into the gym and, give a barbell a try.
So as your body, as we get older, right, and your body wants to fight you, right, and go and say it's time for you to act old, right? So I refuse. I'm on a mission, right? But with that said, so can you tell our listeners like some of the routines, especially maybe the stretching as well, the importance of that, the importance of having strong legs because maybe the nerve endings give out. I've heard so many things about things that we need to do as we get older to keep ourselves from falling because maybe, your legs do weaken and just certain things. And are you lifting a heavy weight? Are you doing more reps with less weight? Or is it a combination of both? So what makes that tick for you and works for you?
We have a fun saying sort of within our group that, or within our world, that thick thighs save lives. And that's meaning like strong. So when you have like strong quads or hamstrings, or you have your strong larger muscles, glutes, those type of things, the research just shows you are less likely to have the falls that you're also more likely to have longevity, less likely to die early of other chronic diseases and issues. When we start to get into our 30s, particularly our 40s, both men and women start to lose their lean muscle tissue by percentages each year. And that's terrifying because your lean muscle mass is the thing that keeps you strong. It's the things that keep you agile, but it's also what burns the calories at rest. And so every time we forfeit even a half a pound of lean tissue, we're really setting ourselves up with shortening our lifespan or creating a scenario where we're not living our best life in our later years, our quality of life that we want to live. And so we do have to fight back with that. And the only way to do that is through resistance training. Now, the research would show that to keep in terms of longevity, you only need about 2, maybe 3, but 2 at the least, full body resistance training every week. Now, I'm different than that, right? I have different goals. I have different things that drive me. And so mine's going to look a little different. So I wouldn't want anyone to compare my routine to what they would need. But if you're not pushing back on some kind of resistance or weight training a couple of days a week, particularly for women, you're running the risk of osteoporosis or, the weakening of the bones, which is also something we don't want to see.
Why resistance?
So when we put resistance, number one, on the bones, it helps make the bones stronger. So just when you pick up a heavy load or squat with a heavy load or resistance, both body weight, when we press that pressure, compounds on our bones, our skeletal system responds to that by growing stronger and staying stronger, right? So when it's left unused, it gets brittle and it sort of degrades. So, but if you're doing the things to preserve lean tissue, you're going to have strong bones, right? Because resistance training builds and protects our lean tissue, and they're surrounding your bones. So your bones are kind of, getting the benefit of that. I just think that we don't give that enough credit, that resistance training starting in your 30s, 40s. And in fact, it doesn't matter what age you are right now, you get started with it. The body's fascinating. We can build new tissue long into our 80s and 90s. All building new tissue is putting in the right nutrients, which is your proteins and amino acids, and then also giving them a workout or sort of strengthening them. So you break them down to build them back up. And that formula works at any stage, any age of life. And so you're never too old for it. You're never too old.
Do you have to increase certain things like per decade of your life? Like, okay, that's not enough anymore. Does that come into play?
No, as long as you're maintaining your muscle tissue, you are doing the right things. Now, if you want to get stronger, if you want to build a bigger house, you're going to have to progressively overload that to do that. So like if you want to see that 300-pound bench press again, you can absolutely do it, but you're going to have to slowly increase the progression over time and put in the nutrients to build up the muscles to support that. It's definitely not something you can do.
Yeah, I'm not going there. No, it's not going to happen. I just want you to know that is not happening. That took a lot. That took years, and it happened briefly. And then I tore some chest muscles I didn't stretch.
I didn't say it was smart to do it.
Oh no. I got pictures though that still have memories, which are great, but it looks a little weird. I feel like Rambo. I kind of Rambo-like. It was kind of crazy. But all right, let's take a quick break because we know what happens, me and you. I just said I was Rambo. That's funny. Everybody out there that knew me growing up, okay, leave it alone. I don't want to hear from you. Superior Catfish, they want to hear from you. Check out my pals over there in Macon, Mississippi. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. It's a song. It sounds like a song because we are the birthplace of it all when it comes to music. The whole world has been inspired by us. Don't forget it. I'm with the fabulous Rebecca Turner. I'll be right back. I'm Steve Azar.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey.
These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
You can now watch SuperTalk Mississippi on your YouTube, Roku, and on Amazon Fire devices. Plus, you can now watch SuperTalk TV live on C Spire TV Channel 70. Just go to supertalk.fm/connect to find out more.
If you're feeling anxious about your investments with all the economic volatility and chaos in Washington, tune in to SuperTalk Jackson on Wednesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. and Sundays from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. for Element Wealth Radio with Jeremy Nelson. Learn more at myelementwealth.com.
Garden Mama here for Lakeland Yard and Garden, asking you, why do we garden anyway? Are you looking for a beautiful retreat where you can get away from it all? Lakeland Yard and Garden is ready to help you with your garden paradise. In addition to being a complete nursery, greenhouse, and garden shop, Lakeland offers patio furnishings including comfortable couches, chairs, tables, and much more. Let the professionals at Mississippi's largest garden center help create a paradise for you to get away from it all. So why do we garden? Because we love it and love the outdoors, and we do love getting away from it all right there in the backyard. Celebrating growing your way and serving all your garden needs since 1980. Listen to your mama now and call 601-939-7304. Visit online at lakelandyardandgarden.com and stop by Lakeland Drive at Airport Road.
Hey, this is Bob, and if you're like me, you like dealing with local people. Majestic Metals was founded in Mississippi in 1954 and are headquartered right in Gluckstadt. For complete metal building systems and steel roofing and siding, call the hometown folks. Majestic Metals, 800-647-8540 or online at majesticmetalsinc.com.
Patriotism is alive at 8 Complete Flag Source. Flag holidays are celebrated all year as we honor those who serve both at home and abroad. Fly your U.S. flag every day with a U.S.-made flag from 8 Complete Flag Source. We also have a huge stock of state, historic, and military flags and flagpoles for your home, school, or business. So shop local at a 25-year-old family-owned business, A Complete Flag Source, 5295 I-55 North in Jackson, 601-362-9333, or CompleteFlags.com.
For all your glass needs, call Venable Glass Services. Glass Networks, they're going to try and steer you to use their own glass shop. Well, you can tell your insurance you want to use Venable Glass, and there'll be no additional cost to them to get the highest quality glass. Venable Glass is locally owned and operated, and they do windshield replacement and rock repair right there in their shops, or they'll even come to you in the Tri-County area for free. That's right, free mobile service. At Venable Glass, they also do frameless and frame shower doors, mirrors cut to size and installed, picture frame glass, tables, desktops, insulated glass, plexiglass, commercial storefronts, and heavy equipment glass. Venable Glass, they'll come out and give you a free estimate. They want to work hard for your business. Venable Glass, open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and on Saturday, 8 to noon. Hey, there's 2 locations too, in Ridgeland at 660 Highway 51 North and Brandon at 209 Woodgate Drive South in Cross Gates. Check them out on the web at venableglass.com. Remember, for all your glass needs, call Venable Glass Services, 601-605-4443.
I'm Heath Clary from Greensboro, Alabama. I'm proud to be the 2024 Alabama Catfish Farmer of the Year. Feeding thousands of Americans is a responsibility I take very seriously. That's why looking for the catfish seal is so important. It guarantees the highest standards of safety and quality, so you get the freshest, cleanest, and healthiest fish around. Find your new favorite recipe or restaurant at uscatfish.com.
On your feet, on your knees, Blue Oyster Cult is back. Live in concert. Saturday, March 15th at Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. All the hard rock anthems of Blue Oyster Cult. Tickets on sale now at pearlriverresort.com. Feel the thunder of Blue Oyster Cult.
In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Here we go.
Like every alley and left turn in my hometown,
hate cutting off the Rebecca Turner on the Good Things with Rebecca Turner show. Author, and she doesn't deserve to be cut off, but she knows the drill. When we're rolling, we got to go to commercial breaks. And I want to be a big old shout out to my friends over there in Macon, Mississippi, producing catfish from Mississippi. What a concept. Go to superiorcatfish.com, and they're good folks. They're really good people. And visit Mississippi.org. Come on, man. What are you talking about? Plan a road trip. Rebecca, let's dig into a little bit of your two books. Mind Over Fork. I love the title. It's like a hit title. That's like a hit song. Love that, and Enjoy Good Health. You know, that had to be great lyrics that held up there and great melody. Mind Over Fork is a hit title. So tell me, did that come first? First book?
Yes.
Mind Over Fork?
Mind Over Fork came first. Yep. And so after working as a dietitian for several years, I just really recognized that so much of people's health struggles were mental, not necessarily physical. And so you have to sort of come over some of those mental challenges or sort of look at it a little bit differently. Just pushing through with your self-discipline is not always it if you don't understand like what's going on. Also taking away the idea that it had to be hard or that it had to be overwhelming. The health industry has really created this idea. They've complicated it for the sake of profits, right? So they've taken something super simple, which is just feeding yourself, which we as human species been doing fine for eons, and they've complicated it for the sake of selling you programs and shakes and making you feel like that you aren't intuitive enough to do it on your own. There's some good education that you need, but for the most part, people can figure out how to feed themselves with just a little bit of health. And so that's where Mind Over Fork came in. It was a lot of tools and tactics I used in my personal journey. And so that was the things that I write in Mind Over Fork were the tools and the tactics that got me kind of out of having to be obsessive compulsive about what I ate, but still needing boundaries.
So you went through that.
Good nutrition.
You went through that on your own personal journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've shared that in my books. I've shared, if anyone knows me personally or here are the podcasts or forms of me speaking, it's something that, I feel like needs to be talked about more because most women, particularly men too, absolutely, fall into patterns of, you have eating disorders, which are clinical diagnoses, but then you also have disordered eating, where the thoughts of food become obsessive and overtake your life, where counting every gram and ounce takes up more of your day than spending time with your family or kids, weighing every morning, being obsessive compulsive with a number or the size of your jeans. When it starts to overtake your life, I would argue that you're not being very healthy. Like that's not a very healthy way or fun way to live. And so breaking free of that can be very freeing and rewarding to walk folks through that. But women specifically have been taught that they can't trust themselves around food, and that's ridiculous. But they've been taught that to be sold something. Trying to untangle that or rewrite the rules, as I say, is a big passion of mine because, you don't have to, you're allowed to take up space, right? And that's not saying that at any size we can be healthy. That's not necessarily that. But for so many women waste their entire life just trying to shrink in size, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I found strength sports and recognizing that I wanted to see the pounds on the barbell go up. I didn't really care about the pounds on the scale anymore. And that's when a lot of things started to shift for me. And, and I watched a lot of other women break free from that. And so it's incredibly rewarding. Your ideal life may not be found in your ideal weight. And so
I love that. I mean, I've never heard it put that way.
It's possible to recover from things like that, just because I was never diagnosed with a clinical eating disorder, I wouldn't wish that hell on anybody. But I know what it's like to be obsessed with it and completely, one thing in my book, Steve, Mind Over Fork, I share when I got engaged with my husband. We were sitting together and I started to cry and he was like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "I'm going to have to eat cake in public." And that was a huge turning point for me to recognize that maybe my obsession with controlling every bite has taken away joy. The more we talk about it and celebrate that, hey, everybody and everybody's different and healthy looks different on everybody. And just focus on, and so right now I'm just really focused on people shifting this idea of having to perfect themselves. That was the main thing for me. I thought I needed to look perfect, be perfect, all these things. And that was a smaller size. When I shifted my mindset into taking care of myself, like feeding myself properly, sleeping enough, avoiding risky substances to a more moderate boundary, to exercising, building tissue, muscle, like that's when the game changed for me. It's not throwing 3 sheets to the wind and not caring about your body. It's learning to take care of it for the right reason.
I've learned so much about you. Folks, if you haven't gotten Rebecca Turner's books, let me go over here. Mind Over Fork. Let me say that right. Mind Over Fork. Enjoy Good Health by Rebecca Turner. If you haven't been able to spend a lot of time listening to Good Things with Rebecca Turner on Super Talk, you're missing it. She makes you feel good about your day. The folks she has on, great passion for what they're doing and all the great things they're doing to lift Mississippi up in every neck of the woods of Mississippi, and it's awesome. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for spending a Mississippi Minute with me.
My pleasure.
Superior Catfish, standing by. Go to superiorcatfish.com, produced right here in Mississippi like Rebecca Turner. And a shout out to Southern Mississippi. I want to do that right now. Her alma mater. Great.
To the top.
To the top. And visit Mississippi.org. If you don't plan a road trip soon with your loved one, I'm just not going to be happy. So make me happy. I'll see you later. I'm Steve Azar. We've been with the fabulous Rebecca Turner.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.